The Honourable Roosevelt Scarrett, Prime Minister of Dominica and Chairman of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, His Excellency Brigadier David Granger, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and Mrs. Granger, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government of the Caribbean Community, other heads of delegation, President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Sir Dance Byron, Chancellor of the Judiciary of Guyana, Speaker of the National Assembly, Leader of the Opposition, Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, and other heads and representatives of regional and international organizations, members of the Diplomatic Corps, special invitees, members of the media. Mr. Chairman, allow me first to congratulate you on taking over the helm of our community for the next 6 months, and to thank the government of Guyana for the warm welcome and excellent arrangements made for my delegation here in Georgetown. It is indeed a singular honor and distinct pleasure for me to deliver my inaugural address to you on a day that commemorates the signing of the original Treaty of Chaguaramas on July 4th, 1973. The efforts which have been made to align our meetings on or around this date is further testimony to the collective acknowledgement of the importance of anchoring our deliberations within the context of our integration movement's historic evolution. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago to express my deep appreciation to those who sent messages of sympathy and to the distinguished speakers before me who offered their condolences on the passing of Mr. Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who departed this life on Saturday, July 2nd, 2016. His passing represents a tremendous loss not only to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but also to the community and the entire Caribbean region. It was under the stewardship of Mr. Manning that the implementation of initiatives such as the CARICOM Petroleum Stabilization Fund and the CARICOM Implementation Agency for the Crime and Security impacts were realized. The Manning Initiative with Grenada, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines reflected his dedication to strive for a stronger, more integrated community. He was adamant on forging linkages with Latin America and supportive of the Time for Action blueprint that called for an association of the Caribbean states, which held its first summit in Port of Spain during Mr. Manning's tenure. Mr. Manning will be remembered as a visionary, a patriot, and a Caribbean man who was committed to excellence and to the Caribbean community. In this vein, I know that I will continue Mr. Manning's legacy. Colleague heads, even before I assumed office, cognizance was taken of the need to accord special priority to CARICOM. With this in mind, the official policy framework of my government carves out particular attention to enhancing my country's relationship with the community. The focus given to CARICOM also precipitated the change in nomenclature of the line ministry with responsibility for foreign policy from a Ministry of Foreign Affairs to a Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. Furthermore, this week, the Cabinet agreed to reopen a High Commission in Barbados, which, when operational, together with our mission in Jamaica, will ensure that Trinidad and Tobago has bilateral accreditation to all Caribbean countries and an ambassador to CARICOM. In similar vein, we are extremely gratified to know that another vital CARICOM partner will establish a High Commission in Port of Spain, hopefully in a not too distant future. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, our community can list significant achievements, both as a regional grouping and as constituent countries. As member states, we have customarily come to the aid of those facing distress. In the wake of Tropical Storm Erica, and an all too common example of the vulnerability of our small island states to natural disasters, the convening of this meeting in Guyana is a clear example of the spirit of generosity which permeates our Caribbean family. In our early history, we, the Caribbean community, were united against apartheid in South Africa. We have been resolute in our position on the economic embargo against Cuba. As a region, we were able to negotiate, to our citizens' benefit, successful trade agreements. United, we brought the issue of chronic non-communicable diseases, CNCDs, to the international stage, which had its genesis in the first CARICOM summit on CNCDs hosted by Patrick Manning, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, in 2007. Next year, 2017, will mark the 10th anniversary of the Port of Spain Summit Declaration, known as Uniting to Stop the Epidemic of Chronic Non-Communicable Diseases, a platform for which the international community recognizes CARICOM leadership. Today, we face, among other things, new trials of graduation, correspondent banking, and the unfair labeling of some of our countries as non-cooperative tax jurisdictions, which we have endeavored to face with a collective stance. If our past trajectory is a good determinant to the outcome of these challenges, then there is considerable light on the horizon. And we must continue to adopt the maxim that the whole is always better than the part. As we mark CARICOM's 43rd anniversary, I take this opportunity to highlight the achievement by Guyana of its 50th anniversary of independence in May of this year, which Barbados will attain in November, and Trinidad and Tobago offers a warm congratulations on these significant milestones. While CARICOM has made some significant strides, particularly through functional cooperation in several areas of importance to the community and to the lives of our citizens, it admittedly has faced equally challenging times. Some of those challenges are unforced errors of our own. And one of the weaknesses that generates cynicism among our population is our unwillingness to make certain decisions and to make the decisions that would bind us. Leadership is not always about popularity. Leadership sometimes is about leading and making tough decisions. We must take ownership of the opportunities and challenges facing our grouping and view them as critical matters to be addressed by the community as a whole. In this vein, Trinidad and Tobago has requested that the CARICOM put the single market and economy back on the active agenda, and our deliberations and decision-making should focus on that aspect once again. We have seen nothing in Europe from which we can take solace or any example. As I conclude, permit me to express a few reflections on the area of regional security. As lead head for crime and security in CARICOM, I wish to give the assurance that under my stewardship, the government of Trinidad and Tobago intends to take an active role in all matters pertaining to regional security. The sustainable development of our community depends on us, The safety and security of our citizens is the foundation of our collective future welfare and prosperity. Too much of our economy, too much of our well-being, too much of our progress and our quality of life depends on security for us to not be focused on the peace and comfort of our people. Mr. Chairman, fellow heads, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.